here by Black Keaton, and I just so I'm just going to read it out. It says, "When I was 14, we'll turn 50 tomorrow. I had my first sexual experience with an 18-year-old girl. It was against my will. During sex, I sometimes smell her perfume." So I just want to address this because this is precisely about sexual abuse and trauma.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you for doing that.
And what this person is like sharing with us, and I thank you for your vulnerability. What you're sharing with us is that there was a time in your life where your body might have responded in a way that showed the other person you were sexually aroused, but that didn't mean that you consented, right? Like your body just did a thing, and that thing was in the moment of anxiety, but you didn't feel good about that interaction, and so your body actually likely in that moment had to dissociate. Dissociate means your mind goes somewhere else. It leaves your body. And it does that. You know, before we talked about defenses of compartmentalizing, dissociation is like the most extreme defense where your body has, your mind and your body has nowhere to go except somewhere else. So you leave, your mind leaves your body, and that's just so you can survive and get through something. Because sexual abuse experiences are particularly, and like they're often non-shared experiences.
Right, it's one person's having the reality, not both people, and they don't talk about it.
And there's nowhere to talk about it, especially for young guys. I want to say that we grow up in a culture where having sex with an older woman is like celebrated and cheered on. That's why, like, I mean, hence all the MILF porn that we watch or see. That we don't take into account that an older woman could have more power than a younger guy, right? And so young guys in particular might not have a space to talk about non-consensual sex that happens like that. They're supposed to feel good about it. They're supposed to think that they got a badge for it. But actually it's quite traumatizing, right? And so I imagine this smelling of the perfume is such a classic trauma response where you know, your body is giving you a message in the moment of sex, and it's saying, do you want me to stay present or do you need me to go somewhere else? Or could this person, are you sure you want to have sex with this person? Is this person potentially dangerous? Your body is still warning you. And it's really hard.
It creates a phantom smell illusion for you to remind you of that time that was really traumatic.
Okay, that makes a little more sense. I just thought, I was like, oh, okay, I guess the similar things pop up, but okay. Thank you for explaining that.
I would say it's like your body's keeping you safe. It's reminding you, it's saying, are you sure you want to do this thing? Is this person going to harm you? And now what's challenging is for somebody who's a trauma survivor, sex might look specifically different for them. It might mean that you have to tell a sexual partner in advance that you sometimes go to another place or you dissociate and you need a moment to come back. And you might have to ask for breaks. And you might need to break.
Thank you for saying that.
I love that.
And then come back. You might. And sometimes you might have to say, like some people say, I don't just need breaks. I need breaks and a check-in because it means sometimes I have to stop. Right. So some people will take a break and they'll be fine, or they'll say we'll do break plus check-in. Okay, great. How are you feeling? Are you still here? Do you still feel sexual? Do you want to go outside? What do you need? And then we continue. And it's not always easy. It's not always easy. It definitely does not look at all what porn looks like on TV or on our screens. It's a very different kind of sex, but it's necessary for healing.
So I think God, this could be like, this is like its own, I feel like this talk could be its own like 2-hour or keynote speech or keynote, talk about not just dealing with trauma with yourself and finding that place to express yourself or finding how to communicate to your partner, but also being the partner and receiving that and figuring out how to nurture that with someone. Because I think someone who's not sure how to handle this and wants to love and support their partner and still wants to have sex with them and still wants to hold space for this trauma that they have, and that there might be a lot of nurturing that needs to go along with that. I mean, that's not inherently obvious to a lot of people and how to deal with that. So I think it really requires some information and some talking and a space to communicate and some method or something,
Not only is it not obvious, Jason, I think in addition, like sometimes we conflate or we mix up the shame that comes with casual sex, which our world tells us to feel bad about, because it's not like whatever. Like, we know why. And we conflate that with our trauma response, right? So I might have a casual sex encounter with somebody, and the setting of, like, the conditions of the casual sex mean that it's going to be short-lived, and I detach from somebody afterwards.
Right.
That might mimic what my trauma responses are, right? And so then in my brain, I'm thinking, oh yeah, that probably was a bad thing. I shouldn't do more of that because it makes me feel bad and it makes me feel like I have to escape afterwards.
Yeah.
So for that person, the working through the trauma might come up in the context of a longer term relationship. And it doesn't have to be like a long-term monogamous relationship. It could also be a casual partner you have sex with over a period of time.
That's a good point.
Right?
Okay.
Who starts to notice things.
Yep.
And so the person who's a trauma survivor will feel safe to say more about, I have this urgency usually to leave right away. Yep. And like, I think I need to stay a little bit longer, or it's taking, like, our sex looks different. It's maybe longer now. And so I'm having some trouble with that. So they'd have to communicate that so that you could work through it.
Right. I wanted to say something about that, about communicating, working through it. Thank you guys so much